I'm gonna show you what we were showing at NAB because you couldn't make it. So you're gonna have a chance to see some of the stuff that we were showing at the show. So I have here a sample of one scene that was built in Scratch. You can see it has a lot of different layers. If you go to the scaffolds list, then you can see all the different scaffolds here that builds that scene. What I wanted to show you is that we have enabled the camera on the 3D space. So if you go to a dual view here, so you have the two views now. On either view, you can turn on the perspective camera. So the perspective camera shows you the 3D space. Let me close the scene here. So in this view, you can see all the different layers that construct that scene. For the moment, you don't see the texture, but you can get to see all the different layers and the position and see space. I'm going to build a simple scene so you can see some of the new stuff regarding interaction with the matrix and layering, especially focused for compositing, but can be used in either compositing or color correction. Nothing really has changed in the matrix how you do things. It's just that instead of using the same image for color correction, you're using a different texture, so it's a composite. Let me go to a simple scene here that I have pre-built. Let's start with a black frame. So I'm going to go to my edit, 130 frames, 130 frames. So I'm going to run the player. I have on my staging area here, I have all the elements that I'm going to be using for this composite. So I have a background, the green screen, a surface for the floor, and then a couple of other elements with the fill and matte. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to start building the scene by using drag and drop from the staging to the matrix. So I'm just going to take the background and drop it there. You can go to the canvas, for example, come here and rotate this a little, scale it, and then go to the last frame, rotate, maybe you change the scaling a little, not too much. That's it. Then you can hit play and then you get the moving background. Now I'm gonna get the green screen guy. I'm gonna go to my key here, chroma key in, and then clean it up a little. Maybe go to the edit and adjust the canvas so we get rid of that bottom part. Now you have a green screen element there. Let's go to the axis. Now let's make the floor. So change this to the turn on my perspective camera so I can see. Let's go to the dual view. Now in the perspective, I can see where the layers are. Right now they are both on the same plane. So I'm gonna take that one. I'm gonna rotate in X. So I want that 90 degrees, and then I wanna put it down a little. Then scale it. 3D floor. Okay, so I'm gonna take another element from my scene here. I'm gonna take the tent, go to the texture, and because the tent doesn't have an embedded alpha, then I can use an external matte for that. Then I have my tent animated here. Change that on this space, so that should be in there. I'm gonna also change that on C, so it's a little in the back. I can make multiple versions of that same element, then put it a little further away from the camera so you can see the difference, and another one that's gonna be in front of the camera, in front of the guy, maybe like that. So you can see how the 3D camera is working on the 3D space. Then what I want to show you is with the same scene, I'm going to take the camera, then I'm going to animate the camera, so you can do these kind of things. So I'm going to go to auto mode, then say that I want my camera here on this first frame, and then the camera should do something like this on the next frame, on the last frame, and go over the little guy. Oops. All right. Didn't save the keyframe. So that should do it. So now my camera is moving. If you see the perspective view, you can see the camera moving through the scene. Now, one of the good things about having this camera 3D now is that if you see here on the menu, this is a mono camera. So if you're working on a stereo project, then with this new setup, you can basically turn on your matrix into a stereo matrix just by changing the menu here to a stereo camera. So now if you go, if you notice this little view here, if you have this eye separation, you can see the two little cameras. Can you see? And then when you hit play, it's a frame sequential. So it's basically the player is showing me now one eye at a time. This is all work in progress though. Okay, so you have the frame sequential. So ideally, the way that this should work is that basically you feed the matrix with a stereo setup, which is this setup here. So you basically feed the matrix with a stereo setup that has a left eye footage, right eye footage, and then each eye becomes a background of each camera. And then all the elements created on the matrix are basically rendered in the 3D space thanks to the new camera rig here. It's basically a virtual stereo rig here. So this is new in the matrix. There's also other stuff, like for example, if you go to the structure view, you also have motion blur, which is also on 6.1, I believe, but there's more options on the motion blur now. You also have the enable depth. Okay, so if you go to the structure for this scene, you can see they're all on the same layer. Basically, this is the main composite, the main frame, and then you have all the different scaffolds with the fill and matte for each one. One thing that we have now is that you can combine elements by either using group, which is the same group that we had before, but we also have a nesting now. So when you do the nesting, basically that takes all those elements that you have selected in here, and it does a pre-comp. So basically the pre-comp, what it does is that it creates a new matrix into the matrix that contains only those two elements, and then the output of that matrix is a new texture for a new scaffold on the top matrix. It sounds complex, but it's very simple. It's a very common use of the term nesting and pre-comps. So that new scaffold here, you can put it anywhere you want. Basically reorganize it here. The good thing about it is that now when you come to you take that scene, and then this new element is basically a full. You have all the same tools that you have for any scaffolds on that scaffold. So if you go, let's change this, make it smaller. You see it there. So if you take for example, numeric or whatever, anything you want to use, then that renders on top of the output of the nested scene. So it's a really powerful tool, either for composite or for color correction. So basically, you can build a very complex scene, like the other one that I have on the demo. New for next versions is that you can also take that, for example, and save it into the tray. So if you want to use that later on another scene, or basically, for example, to take these two elements, and instead of a nest, I can make a group, and then that group I want to also save it on the tray, or maybe I just want the background, so I want the background on the tray. So basically, I can go now to a new construct, create a new frame, command color frame, color bars, enter my frame there, change the output to 130 or whatever duration, and then you can go to the matrix, and then from the tray, then you can take all the stuff that you had created on the previous scene. So you have the group with the guy on the tent and the green screen. So this is also a huge time saver. This is my background and animated everything. So everything carries over with whatever you save on the tray. So if you have need to create an element that you're going to be reusing through the project, then you can just drop it on the tray. Using the same idea, basically you can also store, because you can store any element that you create in a scratch into a tray. You can also use this, for example, to save presets with the plugins. So if you like a specific flare, then you can just create a flare and save it on the tray, and then you have the flare there. Or if you want to use if you want to add grain, you always use the same grain, then you can just save the grain in the tray, and you have the grain and the flare. And so it can also be used to store presets for effects, for plugins. You can also use it, for example, if you want to do some mastering. So say you always create, let me see, I have here mastering, so you always need like let me see, 2 seconds of black, then you need color bars, sorry, so you need color bars, and 1 second of black, then you need a slate, and then you need the show. Let's see if I have something here. Okay, I have this spot here. So you put a spot and then another second of black. Then you come here, then you have the color bars, then you have the slate. You can change the information on the slate. So it's at 26. And then you have the spot. So it can also be used to store elements for mastering. So it's really powerful to be able to save all these different elements on the tray. We also have a new model for the viewer. So if you notice here, you have now you have all these controls on the view. Let me move this so you can see it better. So this is pretty much is a number of tools that you already have in Scratch. Like if you go to the top, you have the RGBA, the Luma, Alpha. Then that's all in here, right on the spot. Same if you want to show the overlay or not, if you want the grid or not, LUT, if you want to see a grid, so you have a reference when you're lining up elements, and it's really useful to have the grid there. Same thing with the view in and out, and then the control that used to be on the player settings, then that's moved to also to be more on screen on hand when you need it. So you have the single, dual view, then you also have AV, all the different combinations, same tools that you have in there, but also in the view. So at some point you should probably find also the control for if you're working on a matrix that is a stereo, then you need a stereo mode like an anaglyph or whatever mode that you want to have on the viewer. Then you can also access that through that menu instead of having to to go to a different place to find it. Then same thing with dual view. So if you go to the dual view, on the dual view, then you have a little more for that, because you have also you can always force the right view, for example, to always show the output. So if you're working on the different video tracks, then you can force the output view to always look at the output or look at the reference. So for example, if you want to come here and select, let's go to different reference. Okay, I have these two reference here, so this is another one. So for example, in this case, I have my conform, and I have a reference here that I need to be sync. So right now they played, but they are off. So instead of having to go to the settings again, you can do it right here on this menu. So you can offset the reference right here. You can also with this control that basically it selects which playhead you're gonna be modifying with the timeline. If you move this now, they both move because they are both selected. But if you want to use it to sync with the reference, then you just turn off the left view and leave the right view on, and then you just look for the frame using the timeline playhead, which is a little faster, and then you can also use the keyword and all that stuff, and then turn on again the dual head, and then now they're both in sync. So that's also really useful and handy to have it there. You just save a few minutes by just saving the trip to the settings, player settings, and view selections. You also have same thing. You can link the two views. Same independent control for each view on the RGB. Also turn on grade and lookup table and all that stuff. So Same thing on the left view, you also have a lock. So if you're working on different layers, then you can lock the view to be in a specific, show you always that view that you have, that image that you have in there. Also, regarding navigation, we have a new track navigator here. So this replaces the menu that we currently have at this place. So instead of the view output, basically you have it on the menu here. Here on the menu. So that's my view output. And then for the different tracks, then you use this menu here. So say you're working on track 1, and then you wanna also grade what's on track 2. Then you can just switch to that track using that menu, and then you have all the different tracks in here. This basically represents all the tracks that you have on the edit view here. When you don't have an view output, then it always shows you the selected track. If you select the view output, then you see the result, whatever the result that you have here on the different tracks. In this case, it's basically track 3 because it's the one on the top. But if you have transparency, for example, on that track, then you should be able to see through what's behind that one. And same thing with this one. If you go to track 2 and then you want to see through what's behind, then you get to see what's behind. There's some more work that we're going to be doing for this timeline. So hopefully by the time we have a release date, then we can announce what's going to be included or not on regarding the timeline. But there going to be some changes for sure. That's all for now. Thank you very much. Have a good day.